Hi, this is Randy. How you doing? I just wanted to update you guys a little bit. So I did go on 2 dates this week. The first guy I met, he lived far away, which is usually against my rules, but he was coming near my area for some business. He only lived like an hour and 15 minutes away, but that's too far for me. Because I know that myself, I'm not going to drive that far, like, to meet somebody, and I don't want to develop a relationship with somebody who lives an hour and 15 minutes away, because that means we really won't be able to see each other, and it'll be very inconvenient, and I know I'm not moving. So anyway, he was coming to Detroit for business during the evening, so he had to drive 15 more minutes to come and meet me, and I knew that I was going to like this guy right away, because I was attracted to his photos, and then he did talk to me on the phone a couple times, and he was really funny. He had a lot of energy, unlike most men in their 50s that I meet, and he, like, he was very light-hearted, easy-going, and not weird, not hesitant, not at all nervous, not inappropriate. He just seemed cool. And anyway, yeah, we met, spent like 4.5 hours together. Went to a couple different places and ate, and he told me his whole life story practically, and I told him, parts of mine. And yeah, then, it turns out that apparently he just wasn't attracted to me, because he didn't, he just hugged me at the end and then drove home and hasn't called. And I pretty much knew that was going to be the case. So anyway, that's just how it goes. But you just never know, because, he did spend 4.5 hours with me, which is kind of a long time for really not liking somebody, or not being attracted to them. But, I guess I'm guilty of the same. I've done the same thing. Just getting into conversations with people that are fun to talk to, or, you're out doing something, but you're just not really attracted to them. So anyway, that was that. And then I went out with another guy on last night. The oldest guy I've ever gone out with. He was 59. He really didn't look it at all, so, that was good. We had dinner. He's not my type at all. He's like recovering alcoholic, 17 years sober, and really super into the AA stuff, so, really a 12-stepper, and very gung-ho with the Christian being saved type of thing. And that's okay. I mean, it's better than somebody who's like evil or an atheist maybe, but it's I can't parallel that kind of thinking, and I'm like spiritual, not into the born again Christian kind of stuff. So anyway, he wants somebody that that is type born again Christian type thing. But anyway, it was a decent time. But my point is that during our conversation, he mentioned the word emotionally unavailable, and that he always picks women that are emotionally unavailable. So I thought about that for a minute, because then he described these women that he has picked that he calls emotionally unavailable, and I really think that he was misusing the term. So I looked up what emotionally unavailable means, and it means that, like, when you're in love with someone, when you have a relationship with someone, but they refuse to let you get close to them emotionally. So yeah, that makes sense. But the thing this guy was describing was not women that he was in love with, or that there was some kind of mutual love going on, or kind of any kind of commitment. He was describing women that just like ended up blowing him off. That he liked them, and then he pursued them, and they responded kind of like in a vague sense, like they were polite. You know, maybe they responded to his texts. Maybe they talked to him on the phone. Maybe they, you know, they met once or maybe twice over a period of time, and they kept the, you know, phone and text conversations up. And but then, you know, when push came to shove, you know, the woman either ghosted him or told him she didn't want to go out. And he was labeling those women as emotionally unavailable. And I corrected him, since, you know, he's this 12-stepper, so he can take the info, even if it causes him a little bit of cognitive dissonance. So I said, you know, I don't really know if those women were emotionally unavailable, or like it could just be they just didn't like you that much. And he laughed, you know, he was like, yeah, totally, yes, that really could be the case. And I'm like, yeah, so it's like, and then I thought about it, you know, there's a lot of men and women that will continue contact with somebody even though they know they're not interested in the other person that way. Both men and women do this. I think they both do it equally in general. They want to be polite, or they don't want to be rude, or they like the person, you know, like as a human being. They don't wish the person any harm, you know, they don't want to be impolite. So they continue the contact going, which really what that does is it's harmful, because it leads the person on. Like, for example, the guy that I went out with on Thursday, who spent all that time with me and who I actually liked. If he was continuing, like, to text me and stuff and call me on the phone, I mean, I would think he liked me and he was going to ask me out again. And if I, like, texted him and he responded, I don't know, I might get my hopes up, or I might think, oh, okay, you know, this could be a thing. We're gonna maybe see each other again. And maybe his intention is like absolutely nowhere near wanting to see me again. Just responding to somebody's, you know, hello or their text does not mean they like you. But a lot of people misinterpret that it does. They misinterpret that any kind of like communication that's ongoing or that continues means that the other person is into you. You know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Unfortunately, people aren't honest, and this wanting to be polite to the other person is really not being polite, because especially when you kind of already know that they're more into you than you are to them. It's best really for the other person, if you really want to be polite, it's best to just be upfront and tell them you're, you know, they're a nice person, but you're just not interested. And so this guy that I met last night is pretty much going around throwing that term around for everybody that he meets. You know, they're emotionally unavailable. And I was just thinking, you know I'm not going to see this guy again because I'm not into him. So is he going to call me emotionally unavailable, add me to the list of women that were emotionally unavailable? Because I don't think I'm emotionally unavailable, but I am emotionally unavailable to him, because I can see by his lifestyle that, you know, we are not a match. We won't fit together. You know, another interesting thing that he said that kind of validated some thoughts and feelings that I had, though, was that he was like talking about God, and at first he said God made a mistake when they made women, and I didn't know what he meant. And I said, well, shit, I feel the same way. I said, but I think he made a huge mistake when he made men. And he's like, yeah, you know, a horrible problem. We have a horrible curse, us men, and that is that we're attracted to women visually just because of their looks. And I said, absolutely you are. And, you know, like, he said, that really sucks. He said, that's a problem. And I was like, I totally agree. So, you know, he was a guy who had some insight, you know, shit, after 17 years of going to AA meetings and probably sponsoring people, and through recovery, you know, you do learn a lot of stuff. So, I mean, in that way, the date was totally painless. It was interesting. But, no, I can't see myself with him, and, so if I can't see it, then there's no point. And, you know, older men at least are smart enough usually to know that they don't want to just be, quote, friends with somebody. So anyway, I just wondered what your thoughts were on this emotionally unavailable idea. It's you know, it's another fairly new term. It totally makes sense when you're in a relationship and that person just won't trust you. They just won't totally open up to you and express themselves. They won't get emotionally intimate with you and very deep. I get that, but just on the surface, you know, you can't tell if somebody's emotionally unavailable or they're just not into you. So anyway, that's my point, and I hope you guys have a good day.